I'd like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is not being recorded at the moment, and I don't see anyone else recording the meeting. If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Dr. Brunel for special recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first one is a very sad one. We had a colleague on November 25th, Monica Harley. She had served as an ELL tutor in the Auburn Public Schools, particularly at Auburn Middle School, for a number of years. She fought courageously through her cancer, but ultimately did succumb to it with her family at her side. And I will tell you that the staff of Auburn Middle School in particular, and all of us who worked with Mona, she is a huge loss. Her loss is a huge loss to the district, most certainly to her family. And we send our sincere condolences to her husband George, her daughters Carla, Joelle, and son Nicola, and granddaughter Chloe. So I'd ask us to have a brief moment of silence in her memory, please. Thank you. A couple of really positive things to share with you. Music department, this was an email that came from Mr. Lapete and Ms. Bailey from the high school music department. So they took students to the Central District Festival this year, and being accepted, I should say, into that are 7 of our students, which is quite an honor. Sam Benoit, Derek Brigham, Sean Campbell, Angelique Davis, Anna Petrowitz, all have been invited, and into the band portion are Hannah Cherry and Zachary Hauga. Many of them actually were here, or some of them, I should say, not all of them, were here during the presentation, and it is an honor to be selected for this, and also for Sean and Angie to have scored enough points to make them eligible for the All-State Chorus. So great things happening out of our music department, so kudos to all of those students.
Excellent.
And then finally, this was a new opportunity actually this year. Mr. Pratt and, drawing a blank on her name, her and her married now, Miss Rushak, took students down to Northeastern University. It was a high school wellness summit, and students needed to do presentations and actually make a pitch to how to enhance wellness in their schools. Dr. Lezay and I are actually going to be meeting with Mr. Hanfield and these students to learn more about their pitch on Friday and how we can help to incorporate it. But 2 of them were awarded $1,000 grants to actually bring these to fruition. So Mackenzie O'Coin and Sean Campbell. So Sean's idea is to increase the activity level of students during the day. And he wants to use the money to purchase things such as standing desks, yoga ball chairs, and even under-the-desk bike pedals. So we'll learn more about that on Friday. And then Mackenzie's idea is to add yoga to the school day, recognizing that not all students like sports, but everyone should be active and care about their good health. So those are the 2 ideas. We'll hear more about them, but just wanted to give kudos to the 2 of them, to all of the students who pitched this, and to Mr. Pratt and Mrs. Rushak for giving them this opportunity, which is a new one, a different one than we'd heard before. So great things happening.
That's excellent. Congratulations. Seeing no citizens to make comments, we will now move on to the student representatives report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first off, trimester 1 at Auburn High School ended, and with trimester 1 ending, that means that fall sports ended and winter sports are starting to begin right now, as well as trimester 2. For clubs and everything, the math team had math meet on November 29th. They won 2nd place. Quiz show had their 2nd honor bowl yesterday at Grafton. We won against Quabog and lost against Grafton. The band and chorus had their concerts on November 16th and 13th respectively. And NHS has been collecting items for military care packages and for adoptive family for the holiday season.
Excellent.
Very good.
Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
It sounds like the high school is excelling as usual.
Everything's going well. Did you get all your Christmas shopping done? You ready for the Christmas season?
Yes.
Awesome.
That's
Well, you're welcome to stay with us this evening, or if you've got some studying to do, feel free.
I've got a couple tests tomorrow, so.
If you just want to go watch TV or play with your phone, that's fine too. It's the season of giving.
Good night, Ryan.
I would now seek approval of the minutes of November 14 and 15.
I will make that recommendation to approve the minutes from November 14th and Wednesday, November 15th.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. And we now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first request here is for a field trip that has been taking place before for the ski club at the high school to ski and snowboard trip to Okemo Mountain in Vermont. It is my recommendation you approve it. It's at a, it'll be over a weekend in March 9th to the 11th.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the high school ski trip to Okemo Mountain in March of 2015.
Do I have a
sec-
second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, any comments?
Hope they have a good time.
Me too. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
A late request that came in, and just wanted to bring it to your attention and seek your support of it. If you remember last year, Mr. Davis arranged for the girls' basketball team to participate in the Hoosac Valley tournament out in Dalton, Massachusetts. And that's scheduled to take place on the 15th and 16th. They stay over, actually families, they go with their parents, and they stay over in a hotel and they get transported to there. So I wanted to bring that to your attention and to seek your approval of them doing so. It went well, extremely well last year. It was another great opportunity for our girls to participate competitively.
Now, excuse me, we have on our desk the girls' ice hockey trip.
That's an error. It should say girls basketball.
Oh, okay,
It is
so
girls
this is what we're
basketball.
talking about.
It is that one, yes,
Okay.
exactly. Thank you.
Do we have girls' ice hockey?
We do.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
at the, we do. Yeah, this was approved, actually. It's a varsity sport
Oh,
at the high school.
okay.
Yes.
But anyhow, we want to approve the Auburn High School girls' basketball trip
Mm-hmm.
to the Hoosick Valley Tournament in Dalton, Mass. Overnight from December 15th to 16th.
Do I have a second?
Section.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Recently, the fire department, Lieutenant Steele handles this now. It's been a great collaboration with the fire department. We were able to go for their awards breakfast and want to recognize the students who were honored that day. We're there with their families. It's quite a fun event. And 2 students left that day, as they each do, with a bicycle each year that they do. So just to recognize from grade 1, it was Lewis Schultz, Ashton Steele, Brooke Tomasevich, and Zoe Weigel. From grade 2, it was Cooper Brandt, Dominic Zabazik, and Madeline Steele. From grade 3 was Piper Doan and Addison Heatwell. From grade 4 was Haley Murphy and Maya Rodriguez. In grade 5 was Amelia Whitney and Julia Wong. And it was actually the 2 5th grade students who left with brand new bicycles. And it was hard to get the smiles off of any of the students' faces, but those 2 in particular
Yeah.
that day, which was really nice. So, and thanks to the fire department for doing this program again. It really highlights the need for fire safety and discussions, not only in school but in the home as well.
That's great. Any comments? Seeing none?
So the Auburn Youth and Family Services Dancing with the Stars 2018. We are happy once again to have members of our faculty participating in that. Mr. Nick Lapete, a music teacher at the high school, Mr. Jim Adams, English teacher at the high school, and Dr. Lopez, who will serve as a judge. Both Jim and Nick will be dancing, so it promises to be excellent. I know many of you here are part of that event and organization, so it should be a great night.
Great.
We once again were honored to accept donations from the Auburn Webster Lodge of Elks of dictionaries to every one of our 3rd grade students, so it is my recommendation that you approve it. In the packet is a letter of thanks to them.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of dictionaries for every 3rd grader attending Auburn Public Schools from the Auburn Webster Lodge of Elks.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote.
The next item, we received from the Chamber of Commerce a donation in the amount of $1,000 for the ongoing AED project that we have for the fields in town. They actually had let us know about that earlier this fall, but at one of their most recent legislative breakfasts, I was able to go and actually collect the money for it. So really wonderful, and we've put that into an account, ready to be used once we're ready to move forward. So I would recommend that you accept that.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to accept with gratitude the donation from the Auburn Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $1,000 for the purchase of AEDs.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote.
And then another donation, we're very supported in the Auburn Public Schools. The Auburn Mass PTO has made a donation to the Swanson Road School for their gift account of $1,395. This to be used at the discretion of Dr. Lopez on activities that would benefit the students. So since it came to them and we'll be depositing it, it is my recommendation that you accept it.
I'd entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept with gratitude the donation of $1,395 from the Auburn PTO to the Swanson Road Intermediate School as a result of monies earned from their fall book fair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Thank you.
Yes.
And now we move on to unfinished business.
So the school improvement plans, if you remember at their budget presentation of November 15th, they provided copies and actually did presentations that incorporated them. It is my recommendation that you approve the plans as proposed.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the school improvement plans for all schools for the 2017 through 2019 school years.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote.
So just a quick update, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Chair or Mrs. Harrington if they want to add. We did just have our first working group of meeting of for the Special Education Stabilization Fund. Dr. Lozay, Mrs. Worsbicky, and I were in attendance along as with Ms. Jacobson and Mr. Kazanovich. The representatives had noted here from the Board of Selectmen are Mr. Holstrom and Mr. Carpenter. From the Finances, Mrs. Holstrom and Mr. Kennedy, and from the School Committee is Mr. Scobie and Mrs. Harrington. So really had some discussions around some parameters, what the legislation allows for, which is up to 2% to be put into such an account. And the plan is we're going to reconvene on January 3rd, prior to the next school committee, the January school committee meeting, and see if we can't look at if any communities across Mass have already done so, and if they've established any financial policies, we're going to bring those forward. They did ask for some trend data around special education costs and expenditures, so we're going to be pulling that information together, but not too much more to report other than that. I don't know if George or Jesse.
Not really. I think we have, at this point, we still have more questions than we do actual ideas or procedures. So I think it's going to be a slow process. I would say at least 3 or 4 meetings before we even start to get into the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay.
Any comments, questions?
It's just good that you're going forward with that. I've seen the results of not having enough money in the SPED accounts, so I think this will be the right way to
And
help us.
I think all involved are supportive and understand the need for it. It's just a matter of coming to terms with what everyone's comfortable with. as
Right, and
far
how
as
it's
setting
gonna
it up.
work. And,
And as Dr. Brunel said, if we can maybe get a model here or there from other communities
Yeah.
who've already done it, it's just so new that's the difficult piece. And then we can mold that to fit our needs and the needs of the other boards in town.
Great.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on.
So the strategic plan, thank you, and thank you to the community. It was a huge success. We had 140 or so people in attendance, and very excited. We have all of the information that was input into the laptops that day. We've shared that information with the leadership team, and our next step is to create that smaller working group and to bring them together to really try to pull out the themes that came across at the end of that event. The evaluations of which were extremely positive. We've gone through and read those, and I'd be happy to share them with you if you'd like. People felt that their time was well spent, that their comments were really valued, which is the intention around it, because the schools, you know, while all of us here around the table and the leadership team and all involved in the schools directly impact, it's really a community effort in providing the support that we need for our students and making sure we stay on the cutting edge. So our hope is to pull together that working group. The month of December is working against us a little bit with the hecticness of the holidays, but we hope to very early in January pull that group together. So we'll be in touch with those who have expressed interest. Excited to have something to bring to you by early spring.
Any comments?
It was very well run.
Yeah.
It was very well organized. I heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
As I bumped into people around town, and they do feel like their voices were heard.
Mm.
And it's just another situation where we're quite transparent. We want input from the community. We thank the community for what they do, and this is just another way of thanking them, letting them be a part of what we're about. So,
Agreed.
thank
And
you.
And through the chair, I thought it was interesting that so many of the groups had similar themes. They all came up with
It
the same
was.
answers, which
Yeah.
I found encouraging because it made me feel kind of closer to the community.
Right.
So I was impressed by that.
It did.
It was good that you had 140 people, so there is a lot of interest,
Right.
which is
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Everything
absolutely.
was just so well done.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
Thank
It
you.
was.
Kudos
It's the
to
whole
everyone
team.
who put that
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
And if I could add, I was very impressed with the students.
Mm.
And I guess they had done work ahead of time to find out what their fellow students were interested in and wanted.
Mm.
So for them to come speaking as a representative of that body, I thought was awesome.
It was. It was good.
So it was very-
Yeah. There were more that were had been invited in for different reasons, injuries, health, and whatnot, weren't able to come, but their voice was really valued at
It
the
really
table.
was.
It was great.
They
Yeah,
had a lot of great ideas.
I agree.
Excellent. Look forward to the outcomes. Moving on.
So in terms of AEA negotiations, wanted to let you know we've established our first meeting really just to set ground rules. Will be on January 3rd. It's up to you if you'd like to have a representative join. In the past, it has been myself, Dr. Losay, and Mrs. Worsbicky, or those whoever was filling the business manager's role, has worked well. Obviously, anything we do would require your input in executive session. But I leave that up to the committee for your decision.
I'm comfortable with just receiving periodic feedback
Mhm.
from the negotiation. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm-
I feel comfortable unless there's somebody that wants to do it. But if there isn't, I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Through the chair, though, just take note, you have a meeting that day as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Timing may get tight, I don't know.
She's gonna be a busy
You're already
lady.
in hot water.
Yeah. Exactly. That's pretty much every day, but yeah, no, definitely.
Mm.
In terms of the FY19 budget, it should read, at this point, we don't have any recommendations or any changes, so my only recommendation would be to leave it be as it currently stands. As a leadership team, we do continue to review through it. If any items change, we will bring them back to you at our next meeting for your review.
Okay.
And then finally, under unfinished business is school committee tour of the schools. As has become a tradition, I am happy to host a tour of the schools. These happen to be dates that work in my calendar, but I didn't know what the committee wanted to do, or if you wanted to even do it again this year.
Is there interest within the committee to visit the school?
Very much so.
I always enjoy going to get to see the kids.
Mhm.
I think, for me personally, the first date works the best, but I can certainly try to move things around.
That's actually the best date for me too, the 13th.
I'm a maybe for the 13th and a no for all the others.
Okay. Okay.
The best chance would be the 13th.
Okay.
And the only chance I would have the 13th,
Oh, yeah, because you got
if I
that.
could make it through the whole thing anyway. I
Okay.
don't know if I can make the whole thing, but I
Yeah.
can.
Well, you don't have to climb JB
Do-
steps
do my
anymore,
best.
so.
Okay. Well, do we want to leave it, Mr. Chair, that we'll do it on the 13th, and I'll send out an invitation with a time that we'll meet, and then those who can make it can come?
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds
perfect.
great.
Not too early in the morning.
Not too early.
Oh, stop
That's
it.
why I'm a maybe, depends on how.
Okay.
My alarm does work, but, you know, I don't like to use
Now
it too
we'll move on
often.
to new business.
So sharing with you the holiday concert, there's actually one that's taking place this evening, not last night. And I have to tell you, I had the opportunity to attend the one on Monday evening of the third graders, and it was outstanding. It was to an absolute packed audience, and the third grade, they were dressed in their absolute best, and just, I don't know if anybody else was there, thoroughly enjoying it. Many of the kids kind of dancing up as they were singing. It was really, really well done. Mrs. Caruso and Mr. Leslie do a nice job, and their enthusiasm for music is infectious, and it was really a great way to get into the holiday spirit, I will say. So, hope to attend others, and I would encourage anyone, those listening, as well as all of you here, if you have the opportunity to attend any of the concerts, do try to do so. They are quite a joy. Quite a joy.
Agree.
The Town Hall Holiday Open House, Ms. Jacobson has this annually. She has asked to extend an invitation to all of you. Representatives of our leadership team will be attending, making a visit. It's on Wednesday, December 20th from 12 to 2. It's up at Town Hall. Bay Path students provide some light refreshments and lunch. And it's just a nice opportunity to mingle with employees, board members, commission members, and just to enjoy some holiday fun together. So you are invited.
Thank you.
And then looking back to last year, and we did the same this year, we tried to, in light of the busyness of this time of year, to make this agenda, as you can see, fairly lengthy. And last year you canceled the second meeting of the year, of December, so I offer that for you if you're so inclined, or we can certainly have it, if you would prefer as well.
I would entertain the motion to cancel the later December meeting.
I will make the,
Oh, sorry.
okay, I'll make the motion to cancel the school committee meeting of December 20th.
Second.
I'll second. Sorry.
So
Any discussion?
we both have the same idea, cancel
All
the
in
meeting.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And I skipped, but not intentionally, to share with you the ongoing commitment to the community. So in your packet, as Mr. Scobie and others of you have referenced tonight, this really, we are, with the donations that we received this evening, those just being examples of support we received from the community. We believe in the schools, and you see evidence of it in June when the students present, of making sure that we are giving back in appreciation for all that we get. And this listing was updated by the principals recently and highlights just the multitude of things that are done. And this certainly, I doubt, is a complete list, but just tries to highlight how we in the schools believe in the importance of giving back, and for setting that example for our students and for each other, that none of us is in this alone, and we need to work together to try and make things as best as possible. So proud of this listing, and I hope that all of you are as well.
Absolutely.
This is terrific.
Yeah.
Pages
Very
and
proud of
pages.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Any comments?
Just, the schools do great for community service. They do so much stuff. It's unbelievable. It's just great, and gives you a warm heart to know that our children and our administration and teams do so much.
Absolutely, I agree. Okay, moving on.
And then upcoming events, I wasn't able to attend the tree lighting this past week. Hopefully some of you were. The tree looks beautiful in Drury Square. And as I already mentioned, many holiday concerts coming up. And it does not seem possible that we're even talking about the holiday break, but it is only a short couple of 2.5 weeks or so away, with the students being in school full day on the 22nd and then returning to class on January 2nd.
Any comments? Thank you for that. Moving on to teaching and learning, Dr. Lozay.
Okay, just a few updates for you this evening. SBIRT, which I'll remind you, refers to survey, brief interview, and referral to treatment. That will take place in January in grades 8 and 9. It is a DESE mandated survey that we need to administer to 2 different grade levels, and it's to really help us identify any students engaging in at-risk behavior so that we can intercede early with that. The nurses, as well as the guidance counselors with backup from the school psychologist, will administer that survey to the students. At this point, a preliminary letter has gone home to parents to give them an idea of the process and the procedures that will be followed. A few weeks before the actual survey, another letter will go home to parents, and the parents will have the opportunity to opt out for their child, if necessary, if they think it's important to do that. And we will also provide to the students in grades 8 and 9 an overview by the guidance counselors to prepare them for it and what it will involve. It's a rather simple screening survey encompassing about 4 or 5 questions with a few follow-ups. A lot of the strategy is to really give positive feedback to any of the answers of kids that are actually choosing to make right choices. And then if there are students that do have some red flags, to send them off to see the school psychologist or to talk to outside referrals for them. So
Is this oral or written?
it's oral. It's
So
all
it's
one-to-one.
One-to-one.
It is. And we've already planned out the logistics of it to make sure that it's a very confidential process
Okay.
where students will enter in one entranceway and exit another, so they're not even really seeing each other. So it'll be a very confidential process.
Well, it's going to take a while then, isn't it?
It may.
Sounds
They estimate about, 10 minutes for each student, so.
Okay, well, thank you.
Do we get to see statistics from that?
I don't believe so. That we may be able to see, because the nurses and the guidance counsel will be entering that data, they'll be able to possibly see trends, but it's very confidential and it can't be shared with even the principal of the school.
So if there's a growing problem, we can't even see numbers or?
If there's a growing problem, I'm sure that the nurses and guidance counsels will bring that to our attention as a district. We don't anticipate there to be a large number of students.
Any other comments or questions regarding that?
One more question. Sure. Recently, there's been some problems, let's say, with some older students. Do we have something similar to talk to them about, or a way to talk to them, or reach out to them, or is this just something we're doing to head off like problems, kind of?
The committee did choose those grade levels to try to be more preventive in
Okay.
nature. We do have great counselors in all of the buildings.
Yes.
We have health education classes where a lot of students learn about, the good choices versus the at-risk choices, and because of that, sometimes they do seek out an adult. I do believe that the relationships that our teachers build with our kids make teachers accessible and shared with our kids, our teachers. So
Yeah.
there is a youth behavior risk survey that's also given at both the high school and the middle school, which provides us with trends of behaviors that kids are, engaging in. So that's another piece of data that we can look at to plan our programming. I think there's a lot of work underway in terms of presentations by outside people to come in on social emotional issues, but also, as last year we did, have students come in and present some of the challenges that they've faced, speaking to their peers. And we have some outside mini workshops that we've also begun to investigate to bring in for the general population so that they can hear some of this, and then that kind of encourages them to seek out additional supports if they need it.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, through the chair, this primarily focuses on behavior rather than underlying disorder, maybe anxiety or depression. We would have a big triage to that as well.
Correct.
So,
It's mostly,
Even though it focuses on behavior.
yep. The questions are around specific behaviors and what they're engaging in. It also gets at how often do you feel a certain way. So
Okay.
we'll hit that as well. Okay, next. As you're aware, and we've reported out several times on this, but I just wanted to give you an update around our best practice grant, which we had received, which we have focused at the preschool level. As you know, we're offering a series of literacy workshops. We're offering that to all area preschool staff. There has been approximately 30 people attending the first 2 sessions, and the evaluations that have come forward have been very, very positive. There's another 5 sessions for the Best Practices Grant Literacy Series, and people are looking forward to that, with actually more people coming forward to say, can I come even though I've missed the first 2? So I think that's encouraging. In addition, these grant funds also provide cultural events for our preschool students and their families in the whole area. We've invited the other preschools outside of Auburn to have their children invited as well. Recently we hosted, and I think I gave you a little highlight of it prior to, Cosmic Kelly, who came in and dealt with science. And I was fortunate enough to be there and see these little children with their smiles. It was just amazing as volcanoes exploded and they took dry ice and made Nerf-like bubbles over everybody's heads. And she was just masterful at getting kids to come out and volunteer. So I would say every student there actually had an opportunity to participate in some form, which I think is great. We do have another one coming up in January, and I included a flyer. It's the Pumpernickel Puppets. We've had him in the schools before, and they're awesome. So I'm hoping that we'll get even a greater crowd at this one in January. It's an hour of fun-filled family time. So come and join us.
Thank you.
Just to give you a heads up, that next school year, we will be undergoing a coordinated program review, or CPR. We've had one 6 years ago, 5 years ago this year, but 6 years next year. That's the cycle. They have you on every 6 years. You are re-evaluated. So they're going to look at us in 3 areas. It's special education, it's civil rights, and it's the title grants. And what it involves is a lot of pre-work on the district part, but it also involves site visits from DESE. And while they're here, not only do you submit documents prior to, but while they're here, they pull files and do pretty extensive document review. And on January 19th, I'll go, as well as Mrs. Rosemary Reedy, the Director of Pupil Services, so some training around that. And once we're through that training, we'll have more information. But overall, historically, we've done pretty well, so we anticipate the same this time. And finally, access testing, which is the state proficiency assessment for our English language learners, will take place from January 4th to February 7th. It's an online assessment for all grades except for grade K, which has to be administered one-to-one with an administrator. Students receive scores in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and then based on those scores, we make determinations as to whether they need to continue in a direct instructional type of English program or whether they can graduate and be monitored. And it's always great to see the progress our kids do. We do a great job, and to be able to tell some of our high school kids, you don't need to come anymore to this class. It's great, and we look forward to the results. And that's it for tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to business and financial.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. In your packet, I provided you with a year-to-date budget report dated November 27th for your review, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer anything on those.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Okay. I've also provided a list of transfers. Many of the transfers are within the same series. There are a few that were between series that require your approval, but they're all there for you to see and
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the transfers between the series as presented by the business manager.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's vote.
Okay. I've also provided in your packet an updated list of all the revolving accounts for you to review, and if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer that as well.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Okay. All right. Okay, on Monday, November 13th, the French River Education Center opened bids for the fuel oil number 2 for the large tanks. We participate with the French River Education along with very many other communities. The lowest responsible and responsive bidder was Santa Energy, Santa Energy, with a fixed price of $2.0611 per gallon. And they were awarded the contract for a period covering July 1st, 2018 through June 30th of 2019. And I would ask for your acceptance on behalf of the Auburn Public Schools.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the bid award for fuel oil number 2 to Santa Energy with a fixed price of $2.0611 per gallon for the period covering July 1, 2018 to June 30th, 2019.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I would just say beware, this sounds like some kind of a scam for the holidays. Santa. Any vetting process? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Okay. And then next, I've also included in your packet, on Wednesday, November 15th, while you were having budget meetings with the presentations being given, I attended the town budget kickoff. CFO Kastanovitz presented the fiscal year 2019 budget for the town of Auburn to the members of the Finance Committee. Department heads were present, along with members of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager. CFO Kastanovitz, some of the things he talked about, he put forth the 2% wage increase and pretty much presented a level funded budget overall. He was being very conservative. I put a copy of the handout that was given in your packet for you to review, and if you have any questions.
Any questions, folks? Seeing none?
All right. And lastly, I provided, as you had previously approved, Mrs. Holloway to come in and sign the schedule of warrants when we weren't having a meeting. She did come in and sign. There were 5 back warrants that she signed on October 19th, 2017. So I put those in your packet for your information, just to report out on those. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for that report.
Thank you very much.
We now move on to policies.
So in your packet, again, these ones have been recommended by MASC. As you'll note, many of them had no changes, or in some cases, minor changes that we've noted in red that you could see. It is my recommendation, as well as MASC's, that you accept these as noted, please.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make the motions to approve the policies as noted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. And we do not need executive session?
Correct.
All right, I would entertain the motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. Good night, everyone.
Good night.